what Nigeria presents is boundless opportunities. You can paint your picture on your own terms. And people always talk about corruption and all that stuff in Nigeria. It's everywhere. It's just that the ceiling is too high in those markets for you to experience them. Nigerians never feel like there's a limit. We are expansive in thinking. We have great people, but there's an upskilling required. That's actually one of the biggest challenges. I was really good at school, got good grades, graduated top, percentile, and I got to work and I'm like,
Hi everyone, I'm Izini Zara and you're welcome to the DBIN Podcast, the show where we explore the untold stories of what it really takes to run a business in one of the world's most dynamic markets and Africa's biggest economy. Our guest today is incredibly inspiring. Yomi Jemibewon is one of the founders of CardinalStone Partners, a Lagos-based asset management firm that now oversees over $250 million. But his journey did not start there. He's worked as a management consultant at DBIN Company in New York, an engineer at Motorola, and somewhere in between all that, he earned degrees in electrical engineering from Virginia Tech and an MBA from Wharton. We are going to talk about everything from building businesses in Nigeria, navigating challenges, and balancing risk with reward to the lessons he's learned along the way. Hi, Yomi. Welcome to the DBIN show. No, that's my question. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good.
Thank you for coming early, by the way. You were here really early. I appreciate that.
That's okay. Mark runs a tight ship. And I come from a military background, so we try to be early.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. When I was surfing the internet, like, who is Mr. Yomi? I saw that you had a military dad, and I found that really interesting. So what was it like growing up with that kind of, from that kind of background?
So a number of things. First of all, my dad was in the military, but it seemed like even my mom, who ran the home, was as hard as he was. But it was a lot of love, but a lot of discipline and a lot of humility in how we were brought up because, my dad came from very humble backgrounds. And he was the first of many kids from many wives. My mom was was similar, the first of many kids from many wives. And so they were the first two to have some kind of success. And so you can imagine in our home, a lot of their siblings and their siblings' kids always lived with us. And I think one of the things we learned a number of things. First of all, discipline and respect, regardless of your level in life, because you never know where you will be tomorrow. And whenever we had extended family with us, it didn't matter if they were primary from my parents. Like age was an important thing, respect was an important thing, and just general humility. And that has always been a core of how we've interacted with the world as a family. And it's been a core of my personality in the course of time. Discipline, respect, humility, and appreciation for the good things in life and sharing it with other people.
So how come you never thought about going into the military?
I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So actually my first 2 years first of all, my older brother went to NMS in Nigeria and I wanted to go to NMS, but my mom did not want me to go.
What's NMS?
Nigerian Military School. Nigerian Military School, which is the secondary school for the linked to the Nigerian Army. I eventually went to a private school, Adesai College, which if you look at NMS, which is military, Adesai College was kind of butter. But when I went to America, I went to Virginia Tech, which there are two universities in America that are like that today, where they used to be full military academies back in the day, and they transitioned to become a civilian school. But Texas A&M and Virginia Tech still have a military base, a military cadet institution within the civilian campus. So I actually did that for my first 2 years in the US. I was an Air Force ROTC. So you're basically living on a barracks, right? You're eating with other soldiers. You're going through like waking up 6 a.m. doing that. You're attending school with other civilians in your military outfit and stuff like that. But after my second year, because I was not an American citizen, I couldn't go to camp. And I couldn't get contracted afterwards. So after that, I basically became a civilian on campus. But I always grew up having that military mindset, wanting to join the military. I think Nigerian military was getting kind of politicized. So even my dad didn't want me to join the military. So the US military was something I aspired to, but because I wasn't a citizen, I couldn't join. The only thing is I had to be contracted to go to, maybe the only way I could do that was to go to wartime first. and I had an academic track. So
Yeah.
I dropped off after my second year.
So how did you get your background in finance?
You asked about my military background. I think for me, I've always had this thing of being able to control my destiny. If I'm not happy with something, I always reflect, and I'm always open and honest with myself, and I try to do something about it. So first of all, I studied engineering, undergrad and masters, because the first time I saw a fax machine, that was the closest thing to magic to me. And I wanted to learn how that worked. And so I went to school and I chose electrical engineering. After my undergrad, I didn't feel I knew enough because electrical engineering has many disciplines. So when you do your undergrad, they basically give you the foundation of all the disciplines. But what I really wanted was telecoms. After I graduated with my master's, I joined Motorola as a research engineer on telecom stuff.
Okay, that makes sense.
But two things happened while I was there. First of all, it was around the dot-com bust. And in my first year at Motorola laid off a third of its global employees. So I was always at threat of losing my job. And so for me, that was the first lesson, because growing up, I had learned that just be the best, learn as much as possible, and you will be safe. And for the first time, and I was really good at school. I got good grades, graduated top, percentile. And I got to work and I'm like, I'm at risk of losing my job. So it was the first time, it was a shock. Like, wow, so this...
There's theory and there's practice.
Exactly. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
And I saw that the business people that were in the front office were the ones determining what happened to us engineers. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm smart enough to be one of those. So I'm like, I want to be in front. So the second thing that happened was I actually didn't enjoy my work.
Oh.
So I'd studied for 6 years as an engineer, and I was working as an engineer, and I hated it. And I just didn't enjoy it. And at some point, you almost get taught that if you've been educated with something, that's the path you must pick. So for me, my thinking then was, okay, the only choices I had was to do something in engineering, because I had spent 6 years in engineering schooling and 3 years working. So that's when I started applying to business school, because I'm like, okay, I want to get to the front office of an engineering company. But when I got to Wharton, I saw that I was like a kid in a candy store. Like, you can actually do anything you want. So I was just like, okay, I can reset the agenda here. And so I started looking at different careers, and I found management consulting interesting, because as a management consultant, you don't need to be an expert in any industry. There's a way of problem solving. There's systems and structures to which you approach problems and to which you analyze and come up with solutions. And I'm like, I like that, because the opportunity to every 3 months change industries and learn and hone this process was exciting to me. And so that's what compelled me. And when I came out of consulting, I worked for 2 years. Again, after my first year, I became miserable at consulting. So again, there's a trend I want you to hear here, which is I was always compelled by desire. And when I got to something, I always listened to how I felt. And I always wanted to do something about it. And what happened was, during that period, I knew that I was learning how to dig into businesses, but there was something about corporate America that I didn't like. And I wanted to, so I needed to figure myself out. But that was what compelled me, like, you know what, maybe it's time to look back to Nigeria, because I had been away for so long and there was a lot happening in Nigeria then. So I'm like, you know what, I want to come to Nigeria. And I knew that I'm a hands-on guy.
What year was this?
So I finished business school 2005. So I was working with DBIN 2005 to 2007. So that was during the period when I started looking to say, you know what, I think I want to go back home. How am I going to go back home? I've been away from home for so long. Am I going to fit in? What am I going to do there? Consultants weren't really appreciated here at the time. So that was actually what compelled me. I knew I wanted to come to look for businesses to buy and build. I just didn't know how to do that in Nigeria. So I think in that, I knew that I needed to learn how to raise money. That's something I didn't know. I knew how to dig into businesses, figure out where the problems were, come up with solutions for those that had money. I didn't know how to raise money. So that's when I said, when I come back, I joined a firm I actually took an investment banking role so I could learn how to raise money. So that was the last plug I needed when I came back. And within a year, I and my partners came together to start a business. Just to clarify, although I'm in finance and we manage money, we play different roles. I am that guy that I look at real sector businesses and figure out where's the opportunity here. How do you restructure to make them incredibly grow. And then that way, I'm also really good at structuring capital to enter in a de-risked manner and get that capital out. So although I'm a finance manager, my strength is in real sector businesses and structuring and executing to get them valuable. So it's interesting when people say finance, they just think it's money in, money out. My strength and my role is in the operations of real sector businesses.
Was that how you took note of iFitness? How did that?
Oh, no. iFitness was late in the journey, right?
Yeah.
We started CardinalStone in 2008. I met iFitness maybe 2017. But I think something that people need to know, again, it's interesting. I think there's some people that the first time they heard of CardinalStone was when we exited iFitness.
Yeah.
Right?
It cost a lot of balls.
But think about it. We exited iFitness in 2004, 2024. But we started CardinalStone in 2008.
Yeah.
Do you know how much cane we've chopped since 2008? We've chopped cane. We started a granite quarry in Akure, Ondo State. We invested in a marine vessel business that operates in Port Harcourt, Warri. I ran that business for 3 years. We started an agro business in Kogi, Lokoja from scratch, acquiring 13,000 hectares of land, building a plant, supplying Nestle. We've done businesses. We've had some failures. We've had successes. We've learned, okay, next time I won't do that. Next time I won't do this. So let me tell you what has happened in the course of time. One, we don't do startups anymore because we have done startups ourselves. It's not that there's anything wrong with startups. You see, what we figured out is what we're good at. We're really good at catalyzing growth. We're really good at de-risking platforms. We're really good at identifying. If you've already grown and you're big, you're not for us, because if you're big and everything is good and all you need is money, congratulations, good luck. We're not the right partner for you. You asked about iFitness. Because of the lessons we've learned over time, we're clear. These are the 6 sectors we like. These are the profiles of founders we like. These are the profiles of businesses we like. These are the profiles of activities that we will touch, we will not touch. And more importantly, when we meet the business and we meet the founders, this is the way we can invest. And we check that very quickly when we meet people. Philosophically, do we think about running businesses the same way? If we don't, we wish you good luck. We might even introduce you to others, but we'll keep moving.
Thank you very much for sharing that. You mentioned that you've done a lot of businesses through this assets management company over the years. I want to know what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced. Maybe you want to share just 2 or 3 stories with us.
First of all, many challenges that we face here, you face in other markets. And I think people overplay the Nigeria angle because, and I'll say that because in some places, because it's a big market and there's enough infrastructure, you can get into things that already exist and you don't see the underbelly. I always tell people that when you're working in America in a corporate organization, you see the guy next to you, you know how hard it was for you to get that job. But there are many guys that work with you in Goldman, all these places, who are there because their fathers are connected. They didn't go through the same process. And people always talk about corruption and all that stuff in Nigeria. It's everywhere. It's just that the ceiling is too high in those markets for you to experience them. People talk about the big market, right? But you see, Nigeria is many small markets in a big market. I think at one point they said 150 million people. Maybe now it's 200 million people. Depending on what you're doing, what the people in northern Nigeria, southwest and southeast, their tastes are different. What it takes to succeed can be different. Actually, let me bring it home. Lagos. There are some products and services that Ikoyi people will take. But the Ikeja people will be like, that's not for us. Mowe people will be like, that's not for us. And I'm being very clear. It's a very heterogeneous market with very weak infrastructure linkages, the roads, the connections. Once you need to move product from point A to point B, you need roads, or you need rails, or you need air. Okay, you did not factor in the many people that will stop you along the way. The potholes. Oh, this trip should actually, somebody might look at it on a map from America planning, saying this is something kilometer, it should take 1 hour. Okay, come and drive it now. The second thing is this, and I'll say this with all due respect, because therein lies the opportunity as well. One of the things I praise is our people. I actually think that's one of the strengths of Nigeria. But that is also one of the biggest challenges. No matter what business you're running, if you want to operate world class, in most cases, we actually don't have the human capital to do it here. It's not that they are not here. They don't have the exposure, the experience. They don't have it. They need to be upgraded in many instances, right? So many businesses don't factor. And I use 2 or 3 examples. And, I talk about iFitness. You're building a fitness chain. The biggest fitness chain when we started had only 4 locations. Today, iFitness, or let me not say today, when we exited, they had 21. I think today now they have 27. Let me tell you what that takes. Every location has about 20 personal trainers, right? You are running 21 and you are adding 4 or 5 every year. So multiply that by 20. That industry does not exist in Nigeria. People think personal training is about lifting weights. No, there is a science to some of this stuff. There is a major risk waiting to happen with how your personal trainers interact with your customers. Are they respectful? Do they cross, boundaries that they shouldn't cross?
Yeah.
Like, do they upgrade? So, what I'm trying to tell you is, iFitness has had to start a school, an academy. Every location, they need to recruit, they need to train, they need to regularly. Anything you want to do in Nigeria, if you want to scale, you need to think about your human capital requirements. We had to go and bring, when we got to a certain level, we had to go and bring 2 or 3 managers from South Africa that had global fitness chain experience, because we didn't have that here, right? But then we're now upgrading human capital here. So that's actually one of the biggest challenges. We have great people, but there's an upskilling required.
I think there are also strengths there as well. People often talk about how Nigeria is an untapped market. And so when you come and you do something, you are the first to do it. You have an opportunity to be noticed, to scale, to be big. So I wanted to ask you what some of the positives are that you have experienced since you've come here, that you're like, thank God I'm doing business in Nigeria.
Let me be blunt. First of all, you started by asking about challenges.
Yeah.
But I'm here, right?
Yeah.
I'm here because of the opportunities. There was a time when people were demonizing Nigerians. 419, this one, that one. But I'm seeing a lot come up on social media now where they are saying, wow, our people are very smart, whatever. But first of all, let me say this, and anyone from anywhere in the world can say whether they believe this or not. Our people are dogged, and our people have an expansive mindset. What do I mean by that? Anywhere you go in the world, especially here where we are many, come with that idea, come with that opportunity. Nigerians never feel like there's a limit. It's actually part of our problem. Can you do this? Yes, I can do it. That is energy. That is not common globally. And we take it everywhere we go, and people see it. So let me park that in one corner. Let me go to the second thing. Nigeria presents limitless bounds. You said something, and I'm gonna say this. In many regards, Nigeria is still a very blank canvas.
I believe so.
That is waiting to be painted.
Yeah.
In many areas. Add that to the people with expansive mindset. In many cases, many of them, they are struggling to just survive. That limitless bounds. Where are you in the world? What's your exposure? What do you know? Pick that place, that segment. Come. What's your vision? What Nigeria presents is boundless opportunities. You can paint your picture on your own terms. Now, I will close by saying that therein lies the opportunity and the challenge. Some people paint it negatively. They want to take what they can take. Some, it goes, maybe it's crooked stuff. But some are actually saying, you know what? We'll be the best that we can be in a way that's global standards. And they can really do that and drag the market along positively. We hope more people do that. But that's Nigeria.
You said that you've experienced a lot of cane and flogging and, struggles with businesses.
Yes.
What was it that kept you going through all of those? And, you've also mentioned cycles and seasons. So when it's down, what keeps you going until it's up again?
When we started, we committed to a 10-year vision. We said, no matter what, we're doing this for 10 years. Secondly, 4 of us came together and we raised money from other people. For those of us that had money, we put all our money in. For those that didn't, we went to borrow money. But more importantly, people believed in us and backed us. I always tell entrepreneurs, find people to be accountable to. It keeps you moving in the down times. It keeps you honest in the great times. And let me tell you what I mean by the great times. Many people are, I want to be my own boss. I want to be my own boss. Sometimes when you're just your own boss and you're not accountable, you can cut corners.
Mm-hmm.
But when you know that if I do this,
I need to show my books later.
it's not even about show your books like, there's this guy that believed in me. I would dirty his name. When we look at business, we ask, how much of your money or your family's money have you put in? Because things will get tough along the way. So I'm telling you that part of what kept us going was we have put all we had. So see all that my Bain, all that my Motorola, I had student debt, student loans. I got some money from my dad. I borrowed money from my partners. Man, we'll die here. We have to, this thing must succeed. There are people who have great education, who left great jobs to join you. So we were responsible to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that kept us going.
Yeah. But there's seasons when you had to pivot. The reason why I was asking is because we were like, we have to make this work. We have to. And sometimes like some people are running businesses that are running at a loss. I mean, they have that mindset of, I'm just going to keep on putting more money without thinking, okay, how to pivot to make it successful.
Within the first 6 months, we had to pivot. We had all these plans. We're going to, when the market turned in 2008, we were doing a major construction of our offices. It was supposed to be world class. We saw that we could only fill a quarter of the office. We started looking for tenants. We started working for free. So that, because at that time the market was, I don't know if people, 2008 was a crash, global crash. We didn't have a brand. People were like, who are these young boys? Do they want to steal our money? So we just had to tell people that, you know what? We will work for free just to show you. There were some of them that we already had, they had competitors as their service providers. So they didn't want to show those competitors they were working. So we would actually put our name tags away, right? So act as if we're their star, just to show them we know what we're doing. People that we work for that didn't pay us. But you know what? We did such a good job. They won't pay us, but they will tell the next guy, these guys are sharp boys. And on day one, we had to shut down 3 of the businesses and we had to all focus on one. I always tell, so let me close up by saying, I tell entrepreneurs and I tell that I do not think the best businesses are born out of great ideas. The best businesses are born out of continuous pivoting from what might have started as a mediocre idea.
Yeah.
And you know what it takes to do that? You need to be humble, to be listening to be attentive. What's happening? Okay, this was my hypothesis. Okay, is this true? Is this really reflected? What do I need to do differently? People underestimate the value. I remember when Mr. Adiola read us the Riot Act because we missed 1 board meeting or 2 board meetings. And he said, the next board meeting you miss, I will resign. We didn't, and for us, we were thinking, look, we're in the trenches trying to survive. Board meeting. But we saw the value. That value of pulling everything that we planned for the quarter and coming and reflecting on what went wrong. What could have gone right? Like, what do we need to do differently for the next quarter? And actually presenting it to an experienced board that will share with us that, okay, I've seen this before somewhere. Have you guys considered this? Entrepreneurs think, it's good to be accountable to others that can show you things that you are missing.
For our lovely listeners, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Make sure you give it a like and that you leave a comment down below letting us know what you have thought about this episode. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to share this episode with people you know are going to benefit from it. Until the next one, my name is Zara, and I'm reminding you to dream big, innovate boldly, and be excited to do business in Nigeria.